4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome everyone to the session implementing the Kids Catalog. My name is Susan Morrison. I'm from the Georgia Public Library Service, and I'll be your moderator for this session. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors, ECDI, the Evergreen Collaborative Development Initiative, Equinox Open Library Initiative, Unique Management, Midwest Tape, and Stat Courier. So now I'll turn it over to our presenter, Terran McCanna, also from the Georgia Library Service.
Thanks, Susan.
Sure.
Just as a coincidence, Chris this morning found a picture of me at my very first Evergreen conference, complete with crutches and not knowing anything about Evergreen yet, doing a KPAC presentation. So here I am again, 11 years later. I know a lot more about Evergreen now, but I still have a lot to learn. Today, I will be talking about a project that I'm working on to update the children's catalog, aka the KPAC. I'm going to share my window. Now let's see if I can get the correct screen shared. That's not the right one. Okay, so again, I'm Terran McCanna. I work with the Pines Department of Georgia Public Library Service. And I'm the Pines Program Manager, which just means that I do a little bit of everything. Um, I have been working recently on a project to update the KPAC, something that I've been wanting to work on ever since the Bootstrap version of the OPAC was completed some years ago. But this is the first time I've really had a chance. So over the past few months, as I've had time, I've been putting some work into it. The KPAC really hasn't been changed in the last 10 years or so, ever since it first rolled out. There's been a few little tiny changes here and there, but nothing major. So, at the time, it was up to current standards, but in today's environment, it really doesn't meet any standards as far as responsiveness, translatability, accessibility, etc. It also is not particularly easy to manage currently. You have to be able to modify an XML file that sits on the server in order to change the main page categories and to control what audience groups the searches filter by. So my goals during this project look very similar to what the problems list was. I wanted to be able to make it responsive, make it translatable, um, have it meet current accessibility standards, fix as many of those existing bugs that go back up to 10 years as I could, and also get rid of that XML file and make it manageable from within inside the staff client um, as much as possible anyway. I also wanted to refresh the look and feel. I was really hoping that I would have our new graphics by the time I did this presentation. And back when I volunteered to do this presentation, I thought we would have the new graphics by now, but that is outside of my control. So the graphics that you see here are courtesy of Google Sheets, built-in Gemini AI graphics. So I have a lot of opinions about AI, but at least it let me add some cute little graphics since I don't have our new KPAC graphics yet. So I have a work in progress site that anyone can access here, so feel free. And I will also put that. Yeah, I know I shouldn't have said anything, Kate. I'll put the link to this in chat as well. This site has the basic Concerto data set on it, so you can log into the staff client with the username admin and the password demo123, so you can play around with it. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to a live view. I added a couple of new settings within the staff client. They're under administration, local administration, library settings. And if you filter by KPAC, you'll find them. So there's two new settings. One is the KPAC audience filter. And if you don't add anything to it, it defaulters by audience types A, B, C, and J. If you're not familiar with Mark, now I've forgotten the exact age ranges, but A is basically preschool, B is easy readers, C is young grade school, and then J can be anything ages 0 to 15 or so, or 17, depending on who you ask, which source you look at. Um, so you can control that by just changing which audience group you put in the field, separated by commas. If you put A, comma B, you're only going to see catalog results from ages 0 through, oh, let's see, maybe I put it in my slides. No, I didn't. 0 through, I want to say 6. Whoops. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at the defaults for now. And if you delete that, then it will go back and default to A, B, C, and J again. The other new library setting is show KPAC link. That's just a true or false. And what that does is control whether or not the link shows up here in your menu bar. Before you had to go in and edit the template to get that to show up. But now it's just a little setting that you can turn off and on. And, oh, I do have the age groups. So if you did just an A and B, it would just be items that were limited to age groups 0 through 8, essentially. If you, in Pines, we have it set to A, B, C, and J, which is 0 through 13 plus a 0 through 15 or so. And we leave out the young adult items. So we also have a new KPAC admin interface, and I do have slides about it, but I will show you the live version here too. It's under server admin, and it's called KPAC topic configuration. It just looks like any other Evergreen slide. I have a few set up already in my demo server that you can take a look at. It's a simple form that you fill out, and I'll go through some of the fields here. Um, so they all need a name, of course. A description is optional. The description in the topic doesn't actually do anything right now, but I put it there in case it could be used in the future. You can enable or disable them with a yes or no. The images, you do have to have access to the server to upload the images. And I have a slide later that tells you where to upload them. A wish list item I have is to be able to upload them through the interface, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. The categories I'll get into a little bit more, but right now that allows you to have nested categories on the main page. 0 is at the top level. You can control the order that your topics appear in. And then you have 4 different content types. So let me just show you the interface live. So if I created a new category, um, I'll just call it astronomy, make it active. If I already have my image uploaded, just put the image name in there, and it just has to be uploaded to the proper directory. I'm going to make this a top level. I don't care about the topic order right now. And I'm going to say this is going to be a search string. So there's 4 different kinds of content types. You could have a book list, a category, a search string, or a URL. I'm going to do a search string now. And I'm just going to put in astronomy. And of course, you'd want to work out what search terms would be best for the search results that you want to pull up. But that's all you have to do. And then if I go back to my kids catalog, you'll see I have a new topic there. So there are examples on this little demo of some of the various types of things. The search string one that I just added will do a live search. Um, since this is concerto data, there aren't actually any astronomy books in here, but it creates the URL query the way Evergreen wants it. Um, you can add in URLs. So if you have an outside page that you want it to direct it to, or if you have an e-resource that you want it directed to, you can add a URL and that just jumps right out to the outside site. You can also do internal links if you've customized your OPAC to have an internal page. Like we have a Dewey, a decimal page on our site. So this is an internal link that pulls up um, a little Dewey Decimal chart. And again, these graphics are the existing graphics that we have and not the new graphics. And you can also do categories. So the category type, if you click on it, it opens another page where you have your subcategories. So for example, on the Pines website, this is our live website, we have our award winners category that has all the various types of awards that we that we track, and each one of those is based on a book list. So we have an account that we set up just to maintain book lists, and so we have a Caldecott Medal list, and if I click on that, it just pulls up all the Caldecott medals, and we put in the notes of the list, what year it won the award. So let me go back to my slides, and I'll get into that a little bit more in detail. Um, so this is just kind of a cheat sheet for later if you start using it. For the book lists, you would create the topic like I showed you. Just choose the content type book list, and then you would need to know the book list ID. And you can get that. I'll go ahead and log in. So for example, oops, I'm not in the, oops, now I got to spell my name right. Let me go back to our OPAC. So if I go into my lists, and they have some sample lists in my account. If you open up one of the lists and look at the URL, you'll see the ID of the book list. So if I were to create a KPAC topic, I would just copy and paste that number into the configuration screen here. Categories, you don't need to add in, oops, sorry. You don't need to add anything except for just choose the category. But then after you save it in the list, it'll show you what the ID is for that category. And then when you create the subtopics, you'll put that ID into the field. So when you're like, if you, let's see, I'll pull one up here. So if you create like the Kirkus Prize subtopic here, that was underneath award winners. So I put the book list. Oh, that was a book list. But the parent, I put 2, so that matches the award winners. So I would like at some point to make that a drop down list so that if I wanted to make a subcategory, I could choose the list of parent categories that it could be under. But I have not figured that out yet either. So right now you have to manually type it in. I hope that made sense. And you're welcome to log into this demo site and play around with it to figure it out if you like. Let's see. So the other type is URL. So all you have to do is choose the content type URL. Put your URL in there. It can be a full URL to an outside site, or it can be a relative URL within Evergreen, starting with the /EG. Stephanie, I will hit you up about that. Thank you. Um, so this is the path that the images have to be uploaded into in order to put them into the interface. And I do, again, have that wish list open to be able to figure that out. I just haven't had time to look at it. And our status at this point, going back to that checklist, I've gotten through a number of the issues that I was working on. I didn't show you the mobile display. Let me show you that. So I'll just fake a mobile display. Um, Before it was using tables, so it didn't wrap well, but now if you are on a mobile device, everything will wrap properly with the responsive design. It will also um, it also adds the little language picker down here. Not all of the strings have been translated yet, but oops, in fact, most of the strings haven't been translated yet, but you can see the ones that have been translated are showing up. And so once those are translated, then that will work. The category names are marked up so that they're translatable. So if you have local translation files for your implementation, then you can add the translations for the whatever custom topic names that you add as well. And it is accessible. A shout out to Stephanie Leary for doing a walkthrough with me to make sure that I was marking up everything correctly. She did find a few things that I could improve, so I've implemented all of those, except for there may be some color contrast issues. Um, uh, but we'll work on that after I get the new images because I don't have the color palette yet for the new images. Let's see what else. I did go through Launchpad where all the bugs are tracked and fixed as many of the bugs as I can. They're not marked off as fixed yet, but I do have them on my list. And obviously, I built the new interface. Next up is refreshing the images. We are supposed to do our rollout in July, so I'm hoping they'll give me the images ahead of time for that. And once I get those, then I will be able to wrap this up and get it pushed up into Git for wider review. I also still need to write some automated database tests. I need to go back and watch Jane Sandberg's presentations to learn how to do that again, because I haven't actually tried doing that yet, and I need to finish writing up the documentation. I do have one little sneak peek at one of the images. I'm near, she's Princess Cat, we call her. Um, and I know that they're all critter based. Um, and I see there's a couple questions. I will get to them as soon as I get past my last slide. So next, future wish lists. I do want to be able to upload images from the interface. I think that will make it a lot easier to use. I do want to improve the modal to be able to pick the parent category from a list, which Stephanie has just promised to help me with. And I'd also like to add some instructional tips to the modal to make it easier to manage as well. Um, and then I have some references on my last slide, and that will be available to you once the slides are posted. Um, I have my work in progress up in Git. Of course, I'll polish that up and make it into a single branch when I get done. There's a link to the existing KPAC bugs and the test site again, which I mentioned earlier, and our live site that we have on Pines with production data as well. The live site is a little bit behind my current working branch, so it doesn't have all the latest accessibility updates and everything. Okay, so let me see what questions we have. And I feel like I talked way too fast because I see that I did that in 20 minutes. So let me see. Um, uh, how do we get the Dewey chart in our KPAC at Polk? I will actually upload the Dewey chart in with my branch, and then you can choose whether to turn it on or not. Um, as you wish, or you can use it as an example on how you wanted to make your own customized pages. Mary asks, where does it draw from for languages? Um, that is, it's set up, oh, now I'm blanking on how that's actually set up. It's configured as part of the Evergreen install, so it uses the same functionality as it does for the regular OPAC. And you can download different language sets as part of the install and do a little bit of backend configuration to determine which ones display. So the demo sites are usually enabled with Spanish and Czech languages, but there are plenty of others that you could use as well. Um, some of them are more fleshed out than others. The Spanish and Czech are more fleshed out than any other languages, but it just depends on who is willing to contribute time to doing more of the translations. So that could be another whole giant, and has been a whole nother big working sessions. It's gotten more complicated lately with Angular, but it is still a growing work in progress. And of course, anybody that knows non-English languages is very encouraged to contribute to that project. Let's see. Mary also asked us to use the language code in the MARC record. Yes, it's using, well, actually, no. Sorry, I was thinking about audience types. Um, the it's actually it's using the Stephanie, do you remember what it's called? Um, Stephanie said has a note to improve the documentation. Yes, all the documentation surrounding languages is could be improved in that. For searching books, texts, and languages, that's not actually possible. There's no advanced searches in the KPAC. As far as in the OPAC, I believe that draws from the MARC language notes or the MARC language codes. The language picker on the site is based on the different internationalization settings, but that's different from the search. Let's see. Okay. Did I miss any other questions?
I think you got them all in the chat.
Okay. Is I know I sped through that really fast because I talk really fast when I get nervous. So, yeah, I'm the good teacher. I'm gonna let everybody out early. Does anybody else have anything that you'd like me to show you again since I went through it really quickly? Keyword searches do often work. It depends on where the words are actually used in the record. Since keyword searches search quite a few of the MARC fields, but not every MARC field. Oh, one thing I didn't show you is when you change the audience type, whoops, you have to spell KPAC right too. If you change the audience filter here, say I just wanted A and B, it will also change the drop-down. So it will only show the drop-downs for those audience types that you chose or age groups that you chose. Um, and it will do that, and it will also limit the actual search results to those age groups. The categories only come from patron account lists. Um, the item and record buckets don't. Oh, so the question, if anybody can't see it, do categories only come from patron account lists, or can they be drawn from an item record bucket? Item record buckets are a little bit iffy on how they can display in the OPAC. Um, if you do it based on the list type setting here, whoops, service. If you do it based on choosing the content type book list here, then it will need to be an actual book list that's created in the OPAC. However, if you do have a shared list, such as a list that's created for carousels, for example, you could do a URL and you could put the URL for that carousel in there. So, for example, I have some carousels on the Pines website, and I have made those into lists. So they have a different URL structure than the book lists that are created through the OPAC do. And so, but I could take that and make it into a URL, and I could make it either a complete URL or a relative URL, um, and use the URL content type. Oops. You do have to type things in the right field sometimes too. So if I did that as a URL, then it would show up like that, and it would open up the carousel URL. And you can actually usually take, if you wanted that to open up in the KPAC, let's see if that works with the KPAC. Yeah, so you could take, let me go back to my little form. If I took that and changed the OPAC to KPAC, oops, I'm on the wrong page. Okay, so now that is pulling from that carousel URL as a search result list. So it's not exactly the same because it doesn't show a title for it, and it doesn't show a description, and it doesn't show like notes or anything like you do if you make it in the list. So you get a little bit better options with the list. I'll show you on our live site what we've done. So for example, with the award winners that I pulled up before, it will pull in not only the name of the list, but also the list description, as well as the list notes. So those things you can't get from the a regular record bucket or carousel bucket. I've had mixed results trying to get other types of record buckets to display at all. Sometimes it depends on what various properties of the buckets are. Um, but with book lists and carousels, they'll usually display in the public OPAC all right. Oh, and one thing I should mention too, so if you have a book list that contains both children's and non-children's items, but you open it in the children's catalog, it will filter out the ones that are non-children's. So you could actually use the same list in both the OPAC and the KPAC, and it will be filtered on the children's side. That makes sense. I've been looking at all of this for so long. I feel like a lot of it makes sense to me on such a normal level that um, it may not be making sense to anybody else. Um, no, Jennifer, it doesn't scope per library at this time. Um, and I decided not to even attempt that at this point. The just because the existing KPAC didn't either. It was just a single XML file, and I was more focused on getting that available for the interface at all um, than trying to get it to filter by library. That did occur to me, but it was a level of complexity that I wasn't able to really tackle. But it would be a cool wish list to add on. Oh, so you must have. So Jennifer says they have individual KPACs. So Jennifer, you might have. Do you have different XML files for each KPAC? Okay. I'm not really sure how that would work. Um, but yeah, that's something that we might be able to take up in um, one of the developers meetings to see how that would work. Oh, interesting. I'm really curious to know how that is configured um, to allow it to be different, to have different skins. There is some architecture that was built for the staff client splash page to be able to have different splash pages for different libraries. Um, so in theory, that type of architecture could be leveraged for this as well. So Jennifer, do they have different subdomains? So one thing that Jennifer mentioned that they haven't touched their XML files in years. One thing that I wanted to do by making the administration of this internal to the staff client was to allow those topics to be configured on the fly for, say, holidays or different events going on, summer reading programs, things like that. Um, we don't have any holidays set up on our current live system because it was such a bear to go in and get the KPAC or get the XML file updated every time that we wanted to change a holiday and make it visible or invisible. And so I'm hoping that with the new interface, that will make it a lot easier. So this is, it is very orange. Let's see. Um, so, so it's using a different skin. Is it actually using a different, do any of them have topics? But this one doesn't appear to. Okay, that one doesn't have topics. Since all of our libraries use a single catalog, we don't allow them to have different skins because we wouldn't be able to maintain 51, soon to be 52 different skins. Um, I am not really familiar with the configuration for those on how that works. And I'm not sure if the application of a different skin would also in the current environment, if that's would still control the topics or not, if they wanted to add topics. It may be that if they agreed on topics to add, that they could still use different skins to control the look and feel, but use shared topics. I'm not sure. And yeah, the XML file is referenced in the EG vhost .conf configuration file. Um, and so that's probably how it's pointing to different ones. And Jeff says it's likely that with a little additional work, the new in-client admin interface could be adapted to support multiple KPACs. Yeah, I will definitely add that as a wish list. Okay.